Hi guys, I'm Jack. I'm the owner and head maker, I suppose, of JS Blacksmith Designer. So I'm a blacksmith by trade, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about why craft could be a possible career for you and why it's so important for me. So I'm 25 years of age. I've been blacksmithing since I was 14, and yeah, it's been a huge part of my life now for 11 years, pretty much. But it's not for everybody. But what I want you to take away from today is that craft can be for everybody, and if it's something that you're aspiring to be, whether it be a blacksmith or a thatcher or a stonemason, or someone who works with textiles or someone that works with ceramics, whatever that may be, know that there's possibilities out there for you to start from a young age, but also later on in your career. And that's what I want you to take away. So primarily, we'll get into it, and yeah, I'll discuss about what it was that got me into blacksmithing, why craft is important to me, why blacksmithing is important to me, what a typical day looks like, but also what where you could study if you decide to study for blacksmithing further, or craft in particular. There's a couple of routes. So yeah, we'll go from there. So craft as a career, as a blacksmith's approach, I guess, is what we're looking at. It's something that for me is, like I say, massively important. I started blacksmithing, like I mentioned, when I was 14, back home in Leicestershire. And for me, it was something that I had at the time. So blacksmithing hasn't always been something that I've always done. It came off the back of absolutely thoroughly enjoying design and resistant materials and graphics and all that kind of stuff at school. And yeah, just having a want to kind of create with my hands, I guess. But like I mentioned, blacksmithing hasn't always been my life. Right up until I was 21, I had a career in international sport. So I was swimming at an international level, all over the world, from Italy, France, Spain, all the way over to Egypt, and places like that as well. So swimming took me the right the way across the globe, really. But it was always, blacksmithing was always something there that I'd pick up on my days off or on weekends or whatever, because we had a blacksmith that was down the road from us, and it was something that was really interesting for me anyway. So yeah, I guess the big part for me is to help you guys understand of how it can be possible for you guys in 21st century Britain, or rather in today's day and age, because blacksmithing isn't as heard of anymore, but it is still possible. You can still take up a career in blacksmithing and make a living from it. I do, and it's the best thing I've ever done. So yeah, let's get into it. So why craft? Like I mentioned, I got involved from a young age. Why I did this was because I loved woodwork at schools. I also love the idea of working on things where everyday outcomes could be visible, could be tangible, they could be seen, they could be touched, they could be felt, but they can be worked on with your hands. And for me, working on with your hands is so important, because when you can work in an establishment such as a blacksmith's, where you work with your hands, it's blood, sweat and tears every single day of the week. But what you have produced, you can physically touch, is so rewarding. Whereas, on a day where I'm just doing paperwork, all you've got to measure from your day is how many emails you've sent. And for me, that's why I do it. I loved the fact that the outcomes were instant. So you can see on this slide that, overall outcomes of products are a visual impact, and what you can take away from it. You can touch, you can feel, you can give to people, you can change people's perspective of metalwork in blacksmithing, or woodwork if you're a cabinet maker, or a carpenter, or you can change someone's outlook of what it is you're working with. And for me, that's second to none. And like I said, it's something that I wouldn't look back on today. I wouldn't look back on as an adult now at 25 and go, I think I've made the wrong decision. I wish I'd done something else, because every day is a learning day for me. And for me as well, I love what I do. I wake up in the morning, I go to work. I love what I do. You ask a lot of your teachers, or you ask a lot of friends and family who have full-time jobs, and ask them if they enjoy work. The answer, unfortunately, is quite likely to be they don't. So, if you want to enjoy your work, enjoy what you do, then follow your passion. If it's craft that is your passion, then jump at it with both feet. I have, and like I say, I wouldn't change it for the world. So for the 11 years that I've been blacksmithing so far, I've surrounded myself with blacksmithing, with blacksmiths from across the globe, from blacksmiths close to home, with other makers close to home, with fabricators, with stonemasons, with carpenters, with jewelers, all that kind of stuff. I've surrounded myself with people close to home who have given me the ability to understand my craft and my practice, and how I can better myself. But I guess the bulk of where I am today started in 2015, when I went to Hereford College of Arts and did the BA honours in artistic blacksmithing. And that's what changed my life. Like I mentioned at the start, I was an international swimmer, and prior to me going on the degree course at Hereford, I'd got a number of offers from universities in and around the UK, from Loughborough University, from Nottingham Trent University, and from Newquay University, all to do different things, but primarily to follow sport as a background. For me, the swimming was there, but I also surfed a lot. Despite being in Leicestershire, my family were all Cornish, so we'd spent a lot of time seeing family in Cornwall, so I'd done a lot of surfing, and I still do a lot of surfing. And for me, it was the blacksmithing that always sat true for me. And I guess that's the point that I'm trying to get across, is that you have a lot of hobbies, you have a lot of sporting achievements as a young adult like yourselves, or you can do, but you can also have a lot of other extracurricular activities that are completely different, and you never know which way that's going to take you. So keep those doors open. And like I say, for me, I kept those doors open, and rather than going to Loughborough to study sports science and swim, or rather than going to Newquay University of Cornwall and studying surf science and marine wildlife and surfing, I chose blacksmithing, and I went down the route of Hereford College of Arts and did a BA honours in blacksmithing. And in 2018, graduated there and their programme, and ever since I've been a full-time blacksmith, running my own business. And just loving every day, loving what I do. And for me, that's taken me to today. And since 2018 now, I've been in proper business as a business now for 2 years, coming up to 2 years, and working as a blacksmith full time for 6-ish. It's been a real eye opener. But having worked alongside a number of other people, it's been the best decision of my life. But this doesn't have to be the only route. I chose the academic route. I chose to go down the route of a degree. However, there are other routes we can go down, and we'll discuss this further later. Now, running my own business, and like you'll have seen so far, comes in all different shapes and sizes. For me personally, I pride myself in working in all forms of metalwork. So from large scale architectural ironwork, metalwork, so gates and railings, restoration work on National Trust properties, historic metalwork, that kind of thing. Small little sculptural items such as the wreath that you can see on this page, but then interior design fittings such as light fittings, door handles, door fixings, all the way up to more fabricated pieces. So like the signs and things that you can see on here. So for Hobson's Brewery, but also for exterior solutions as well. So fire pits, fire bowls, braziers, log burners, that kind of stuff as well. I pride myself in being able to do all that. And the reason why is because craft as a market is ever changing. And that's one thing I'd like you to take away from today, is that craft is great and it's a great industry to be part of. However, you have to be diverse. Set your stall out, enjoy what it is that you make, enjoy what it is that you prefer to make. So for me, for example, I prefer to make gates and railings and big architectural things, but also realize that that cannot be the only string to your bow. Blacksmithing, as my example that I'm talking to you guys about today, is something that can be very one-sided. And if you set your stall out as just doing one product, it can become very, you can run out of jobs very quick. Whereas where I'm based in Shropshire, if you're in a position where you can work hard, but also work in a diverse community around others that have got ideas such as yours, but work alongside them to produce some gorgeous outcomes, you can carry on work going that will create you a full-time income. And as you can see, and as you'll see on the next couple of slides, that's what I do. My metalwork doesn't stay in a particular shape. It doesn't take a particular form. Each week is different. Each month is certainly different. Dates sort of month to month in the workshop. But that's what I enjoy about what I do, is that it does change, and that if you are going to go about setting up a career, change is great, because not every day is the same day. Not every day is a school day. Not every day is walking into maths or English and learning about a particular topic area, such as algebra or nouns and pronouns. It's in blacksmithing and in craft, every day is different, and that's just an absolute godsend. Like I said, blacksmithing takes many forms, and what you'll have seen, what you can see here is just this massive seller over summer this year. We had a bumper summer, especially over lockdown as well. In a couple of summers ago, trails went really, really well, purely because people had time to spend in the garden. But then the more decorative work works really well as well, because it's bespoke. It's bespoke to somebody, and it's this kind of stuff that allows me to advertise my business, but also to advertise my arts and my skill. And that is why craft is so cool. In that craft, you can really display who you are as a person. So for me, like I've mentioned, I've got a serious passion in surfing and skateboarding and that kind of stuff. And I take a lot of what I see when I'm surfing and I translate that into metalwork, and you'll see that later. But translating that into metalwork and things gets my design approach across. But it also means that selects a certain group of people. So, you know, if you live down on the Cornish coast, or on any of our coastal towns and cities surrounds the UK or indeed the world, then that applies to you. You know, you can see what I see, and you can see, or you may want what I've produced, because it relates to something that is close to home for you. Equally, being based over here in Shropshire, you've got a lot of countryside management kind of things to do. So you've got a lot of fencing and rails and estate fencing and stuff that needs to be done, and that's around your time as well. But it's all about enjoying what you do, and yeah, it's such a good job. You know, working in an environment where the steel is well over 1,000 degrees centigrade, there's sparks, there's flames, there's serious heat, there's loud noises, there's bangs, there's clashes, you've got dirty hands. You know, what's not to love? Unless you've got a nice set of gel nails on, then I probably wouldn't do it. But you know, you'd be surprised to have had through the workshop on Taster Days. I've had models, I've had fathers and sons. I've had young adults as young as 12. I've had older people well into their 80s have a go. It really can be a diverse community, and it's really, really cool. As you can see from the pictures, blacksmithing also has a diversity over thousands of years. Blacksmithing, if you were to walk into the craft, you're walking into a craft that's 3,000 years old plus, and it's still a craft that's greatly needed today. And for that reason, you know, this is why I'm having this discussion, and why I've been asked to have this discussion with yourselves, is because blacksmithing can be accessible to yourselves. And if you want to do craft, or if you want to do blacksmithing in particular, there are ways to do that. So here you can see a couple of ranges of items. So on the top left, the ram door knocker, quite typical for a blacksmith. The idea of doing ram's heads is quite present in blacksmithing. You have a look on Google or Instagram or anything like that, a blacksmith's ram's head poker or something like that, you'll see designs similar to what I've done on the top left there. This one was translated into a door knocker. This was for a client over in Cheltenham, and it's something that, you know, you can almost guarantee you'll probably get one a month as a blacksmith, purely because, like I say, it's quite traditional. A lot of people have country homes, especially where I live, and this fits their aesthetic of what they're going for. And that's great. You know, it earns you bread and butter money. When I mean bread and butter money, it earns you money that's going to pay the bills, your workshop rent, your houses, you know, your mortgage, your food, your car, your electric, all that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff pays that, and that's really cool. Next to that, then we've got the snails. These are really good to do whenever I go to shows. So I tour the country quite often with a demo forge, so a small little blacksmith forge, and you know that this is something that I'll take with me because they're small little tangible items, and they're pretty cool. They sell well, people love them. They take a bit of blacksmithing away with them, and that's my foot in the door. You know, if you're producing small little items like this, it's something that you can sell regularly, but gets your foot in the door as a maker, so that people can turn around and go, you know what, yeah, I think rather than going to IKEA this time, or rather than going to B&Q or wherever like that, we're going to hire a crafts person. So we're going to hire a blacksmith, or we're going to hire a carpenter, or we're going to hire a thatcher, or we're going to hire a stonemason to do the work for us properly. And it's the small little sellable items that work really well for that. And then finally on this page, you can see the wreath. So the wreath is something that I've done probably a handful of times. You've seen another one that had barley and wheat on. It comes in a range of different designs. I've done them in a range of different designs. Done them for Christmas, done them for harvest, done them for memorial stones for people that have passed away, all that kind of stuff. But it's something that, as in my opinion, isn't done much. You know, you see them over Christmas. They can be done all over the festive period. People do wreath making courses. You can pick them up. They've got natural foliage in. But what I'd never seen as a blacksmith and a maker was someone create everything completely out of metal. So what you can see there, everything apart from the pheasant feathers is completely handcrafted out of mild steel. And that was just to show off my skills. That was something that I took to shows. And then that was something that I finally, whilst I was working for the Iron Bridge Course Museum Trust, I donated to them as part of their Christmas display, so that they can use it and then keep on using it as part of their ironwork display, being in the centre of the World Heritage Site in Iron Bridge. So yeah, it's as you can see, still very, very diverse. A typical day in a blacksmith now can be so varied, as you've seen. You can see on the top right there, that's my workshop. It's about 800 square feet. I've got an office behind it. I've got where I can do all my paperwork, I can meet with clients in a warmer environment, in a cleaner environment. I've also got a storeroom, so all my coal and that kind of stuff sits in there. And then, like I say, main workshop. The typical day often starts with lighting the forge. So you'll have seen this forge in the first couple of bits. That's the thing with the fire coming out. So we'll light that at the start of the morning, so that can get up to temperature. Like I've mentioned, in blacksmithing, you're working at temperatures of over 1,000 degrees centigrade, that is, which is a type of coal to heat up. So we're doing that on as early as we can in the morning, so that it's warm enough. So once I've had a cup of tea, we're ready to get into it. Whilst the forge is heating up, spend my time cutting stock. So stock being mild steel. Drawing out plans on the floor in chalk. You might be able to just about see some little plans on the floor there, and that's to do with what stuff I've got to do for the day. So whether it be a gate or whether it be a sign or whatever it may be, I'll draw plans out on the floor first, and then it's time to crack on. Really, like I mentioned, I base everything off visual outcomes. So I measure a day of success depending on how much work I've got done. So, for example, the gate that's in the shape of a wave, just to the left on this page, that's measured, or when I was producing that was measured on outcomes by how much components of said gate I'd done within a certain amount of time, because I had a time frame of when that needs to be fitted on site. So each day I expected to get so much done, and once a certain amount was done, you could tick it off, and that's how I measured success. And for me, as a visual learner, I very much struggle to learn, or through school, I struggled to learn through just listening. So visual cues and sort of visual outcomes was something that I could measure how productive I was being, and I think that was something that came from a career in swimming as well. Was that it allowed me to be able to measure success in a visual way rather than in a marked A star to C way, or grades 9 to 6 way, or however you guys are marked now. But that's not always the case. There are components which you've seen in the past, in previous pictures. If I get back. So, for example, this Hobson's Brewery sign here, where you can't measure success off a tangible outcome, off a visual outcome, because you've got to go and get that made. And this is where, for me, doing resistant materials and design and graphics at school enable me to push the boundaries of the materials and stuff further. So for me, for example, on this design, this was all designed out using CAD/CAM, so computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacture. That was done using AutoCAD, SolidWorks, and Google SketchUp for some of it, not all of it, but some of it. And that was all stuff that I learned through school. So that was stuff that I'd learned in school from about year 10 all the way through to the end of sixth form. So it was something that I could take forward onto my degree and something that I could take forward into the future. And these laser cutting things work really, really well because you're able to get them produced pretty much overnight. And then they're ready to go. All you've got to do is go and fit them. And that's where, for me, it really, really works. Now, going forward, you can see the Strom sign on the bottom here, on the bottom right, where this again was another laser cut piece. Works in a very similar way, in the sense that you use CAD/CAM, again, computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacture, to get these pieces working, translating them from a piece of paper into the hands of the client. So this particular client was for Strom Sports Nutrition over here in Shropshire, quite a big nutrition company, sports nutrition company in the bodybuilding world, but in the sports nutrition world as well. So they'd asked if I could make something for their gym, and that was that. And that can work very much in your favour because it's very little hands-on time in terms of in the forge, but it can be very quickly replicated if something was to go wrong. But equally, it can be very quickly set up on site, so it can very quickly be added on site, because all that needs to be done is once the pieces have come off the production line of the laser cutter, it can be gone. It can be done, it'd be gone, go to site, put up, done, come home. And I guess that's where I'm going, is that, as we've said, or as I've said, it can be so varied. And this is why I love craft. For me, craft is so important because you have that varied ability to be able to do pretty much what you want within the reasons and within the brief of the within the brief of the client. And for me, that's really important, because being able to work on something that is different every day helps massively with mental health, but also helps massively with productivity, because you're constantly working on something that is different each week. So you want to be at your workshop because you've got something new to work on. And yeah, I think pretty much that's about it. I mean, we talked earlier about studying. For me, like I mentioned, I studied at Hereford College of Arts, did a degree in blacksmithing, but that doesn't have to be the only way that you go about it. Craft is so versatile that now at 25, if you get given the opportunity to study in a craft area that you would like to do, I would 100% advise trying to go for an apprenticeship. Now, for me, apprenticeships are something that can be quite controversial. They certainly were when I was at school. Apprenticeships are something that were deemed as not very academic by school scenarios, that kind of thing. However, what I would highlight to yourselves is that if you get given the opportunity to go and work in an environment where you can go and study, or at a college part-time, but you can learn on the job. So for example, if you wanted to be a stonemason, or if you wanted to be a blacksmith or something like that, you could go and do a traditional craft apprenticeship at somewhere like Hereford, West Dean College, down south, Plumpton, again, which is down south, Brighton way, Warwickshire College, which is in the Midlands. You could go and do a college course there, but you are going to learn on the job. Now, for me, learning on the job is key. You are going to learn so much about the craft, so much about the industry that cannot be taught through books and cannot be taught through lectures such as this. I cannot teach you how to put up a gate or how to make a gate via a video. But what I can do is teach you to make that in my workshop next to me by the forge. And that is what I would highlight to you today, that if you get given the opportunity to do an apprenticeship in something that you would like to do that is craft based, I would definitely do it. We spoke earlier about how craft was important for being diverse and being different every day. Doing an apprenticeship within craft will also allow you to see that. From my experience of doing a degree course, you don't see that as often. Blacksmithing as a degree was good, it was great, but you don't see the diverse range of the blacksmithing and manufacture in the real world, because you're stuck in an educational setting. But what I would say is that if you can, try to get as much experience as possible. So for example, if today you come away from what I have said to you wanting to learn more about blacksmithing, or wanting to learn more about a specific craft area that you may be interested in, find a crafts person local to you and see if you can go and spend time with them. I currently have a number of young adults who are spending some of their weekends up in my workshop, just watching how I do certain things, how I go about certain tasks. They're asking questions, they're recording what I'm doing or what I'm saying, because they want to try and better themselves and get a place on the Hereford course. And for me, personally, that's the best way you can go about it, is trying to get experience. And it's just the experience that you can gain from a professional is second to none. It's invaluable. You cannot put a cost to it. It's so the wealth of knowledge that you can gain from somebody, if you can spend time with them, outweighs a qualification any day. And in blacksmithing, for example, you don't legally need qualifications to go and work. you could go and be a blacksmith off your own back. I can't speak for any other craft courses or craft settings, because I haven't done that. But you could arguably go and be a blacksmith off your own back and do what it is you want to do. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed today. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much for all the time you've given me. But craft has paved the way for my future. Craft has given me the opportunity to work all over the globe. Craft has given me the opportunity to do what I love. And unfortunately for me, when I was at school, it wasn't taught to me in this kind of way. It wasn't given to me on a plate, or it wasn't given to me in an option where I could go and do craft as a vocation. I was given the opportunity, one opportunity, and that was go and swim. That's what school wanted me to do. That's what would look good for school, and that's what they highlighted for me in my career's prospects, and that was it. I'm here to say today is that if you want to do craft, grab it by the horns and run with it, and enjoy it. But thank you very much for your time. I hope I've given you an insight into my time as a blacksmith, but into craft as a whole. And I look forward to hopefully seeing some of you guys as makers in the future, wherever that may be. But thank you very much for your time, and have a good rest of the day. Cheers.